everybody. We are live. We don't have any viewers.
Yeah, we didn't do it.
Darn.
No, that's true. But they should
We're
all be
live.
following.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. Yep. Can we all be heard? And Home and OK's here. Can you hear us okay, Home and OK?
Testing unto trois.
1, 2,
Hello,
and
hello,
1,
hello,
2.
hello, hello.
Hello. Nope, they can't hear us. They're not responding.
They're all set.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Cool. What's up, Fry? What's up, Guy Noob? What's up, Home and OK? Glad you guys are here. Episode 3. Technically the 4th showing. 2nd time with Merp.
Yep.
Heck
4th
yeah.
time with Refresh. And
That's
Fourth.
about it.
yeah, we're a little bit
Is
later
that
than normal.
fourth time with silver too?
What was that, Merp?
Fourth time with silver too?
4th time with Silver. Yeah. A
Heck
little bit
yeah,
later than
heck
normal
yeah.
because of the Golden Hammer match. So Overwatch 3 played in Golden Hammer today. A little bit of a scuff start, but they were able to get things going. Ended up not getting it, but we
Alright.
didn't want to be on top of their cast. Or on top of that show. So anybody that's a part of Oath or watching Oath, we wanted to make sure that they were able to watch that match and then come and watch the Re-Oath show featuring Silver, Refresh, and Merp. Woo!
Featuring.
Anyway, lots of good stuff to talk about today. I am stoked to get to the hot take portion of the day. Merp said he's got some big things to discuss.
Yep.
Oh, I did,
Careful.
huh? I did.
I do. I personally love hot take
I did. Hold on.
and big brain plays.
I still
That's
have
a
the
good one.
few from the last time I was here.
Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna
Get
get to
us
that in a
up and running.
second. First, we gotta kind of recap this week. Great matches, great team play. Overwatch on Tuesdays, Valorant on Thursdays.
Heck yeah,
Overwatch
heck
is
yeah.
Tuesday. Merp, take it away. Tell us what you saw on Overwatch.
All right, so for Overwatch, we had Croutons versus Glitch and Ember versus Rush.
Oh,
The
yes.
Croutons versus Glitch game was
Oh, yeah.
incredibly interesting. It was both of our 0-2 teams, and we had, first of all, it was very, very fun because the first match of the afternoon was a 4v4 as we rolled into the
That's
first
right.
map of Croutons versus Glitch. Crouton showed a lot of very, 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 very strong intuition by immediately recognizing that neither team had a support character.
That's right,
Or like,
yep.
well, they had only one instead
Only
of two.
one.
And so they chose characters, Croutons did, that were self-sustaining, that had potential to do high burst damage. And then Penguin going absolutely crazy on the Mercy was
Yeah.
just ridiculous. I mean, by the time the second map had rolled through, it was Rialto, and neither team had pushed past the first point. Penguin had 9,700 healing.
Wow.
Actually, I think that was on one. I think that was one round through the first hold.
round.
Was
That's insane.
9,700 healing.
Wait,
And I was
and
like,
what?
what?
Yeah.
happened?
Like
Well,
that
so-
number is ridiculous for a first point hold. That's
and only
that's-
one support. I mean, but that's kind of why that number's inflated, I think, is because there was only one support. But
Yeah.
Penguin was bouncing around and literally healing
That's
everybody.
still
So the-
insane, even if it is just one. That's 20. That's almost 30 grand, built up in what would have been a 3-point
if
push.
it got
So
all the right,
still
so
ridiculous.
just to kind of recap what happened is, the thing is we can't find fills all the time, and
true.
if players don't make their matches a priority, then we do a 4v4, and
Okay.
so that's what happened. Is both teams, we couldn't get enough people to fill the whole thing, so they were down supports on both sides. So that was good. It wasn't like one team was down a tank and the other team was down a support or something.
Yeah.
But what the Croutons did is they played Monkey, so he could get in, get out, and he's also got that bubble, so anybody in there is protected. They ran Soldier so he could heal. They ran Reaper so that he could heal with each shot, and then they ran Mercy. And so those were the 4 that they played. So they all had kind of the ability to self-sustain, like Merp was saying, heal themselves. Soldier can throw his mine. What's up?
Sorry, just a little bit of a bump there, but Gumball was on the Roadhog.
Oh, that's
Um,
right. No, that's right. Yes. So
Yes.
Roadhog can vape,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
that's right. Yeah. Also, it was Hog. Thank you, Guy Noob.
Yeah.
So Roadhog can vape. Soldier can throw down his heal thing. What is that called? Why can I not remember that? I mean, his healing thing.
Yeah.
Then we had Mercy flying around healing everybody, and then we had Reaper. It was Reaper, right?
So we had a 4v4 on
Biotic.
Tuesday?
Thank you. Yeah, 4v4 on Tuesday.
I did not know about that.
Well, you were getting ready for your match, so that's
Yeah.
why. But yeah, no, that was a genius play. You're absolutely right, Merp, because that was really, really intelligent to be all right. We're down to support. We're going to need more healing than what one Mercy can provide, even though Penguin was putting out serious heals.
Serious.
So that was a
Ridiculous.
really, really smart play, and it worked well for him. It really did, because I remember the other team, the Glitch was running. I think they were running Monkey. I don't know, Merp. That was so long ago. I've done a lot of stuff since then. So.
It's alright. No,
It's
you're
been a
fine.
very
You
busy
you've got a lot of
Yeah,
stuff on
yeah.
your mind, but no, Glitch went with a more they went with more the brawl style. They had the DPS Moira to try to capitalize on the fact that Croutons had one less support. They were playing the Rhine so that they could get in there and
Right.
continue doing that burst damage. But I just really enjoyed seeing Croutons with the intuition of really capitalizing on the need for self-healing. And they
sure.
did that. They played to the full, and they won their first match against Glitch, who had been a very solid competitor against both Ember and Rush previously, 2-0.
Right.
And I just thought that was quite incredible. Even with Phil's, once again we had another Phil from Quest who played the Baptiste in that
right.
matchup.
Yep.
Did a great job with the hit scan. Did a great job with using the cooldowns, using window to pressure out corners.
Mhm.
Overall fantastic. And I did, like I said, I did really enjoy what Glitch was trying to do, but the self-sustain from Croutons was just too much to overbear. And I think that their strategy paid off a little bit more in a scenario where neither team had really practiced what 4v4 should look like, because
Right.
that's not really our goal to begin with.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and that's a good point. And then after the 4v4, we were able to get everybody back in. And so then we did the 5v5 for the second and third.
Okay.
So it was just that first round. If I remember, Merp, am I wrong on that, or was that
I'm sorry, one more time?
we were able to go back to 5v5 on the second point?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, you're correct. You're correct. So
Yeah.
the first round was just 4v4, and then the second round was 5v5. In which case, Croutons actually stuck with their initial strategy because why fix what's not broken,
Yeah.
and still came out on top. Glitch sort of tried to conform to that, and then I think it might have been practice diff for Croutons. But honestly, I really I enjoyed the match.
Yeah,
thoroughly.
it was fun to watch for sure. I mean, but then we had the Ember versus Rush match, which was 100% insane. It was
Absolutely ridiculous.
So now both of those teams, they came in, they were both 2-0-2-0,
Mhm.
right? So someone had to walk away from this match with a loss.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, you're not allowed to talk about the Rush Ember match because you were
So-
there.
Like, I'm still allowed
So-
to have at least an opinion.
Of
me
course.
and Chicken Joe talked like a lot after that match.
Oh,
was,
okay.
It
Mhm.
was just compliment central. Us just kissing each other up, I guess. But
I mean,
yeah,
it was ultra tight. It
Yeah.
was insane.
it was down to the very last fight.
It was.
It was down to
Absolute-
the very last fight. Like, if I gotta say anything, Kings Row being able to hold for almost 4 minutes, almost being able to do that.
was insane.
Yeah.
I mean, there was actually
there's
both
just so much
games-
hero play.
Yeah, that's true.
There were so many just like crazy plays constantly. Like I was sat there and I was watching some of the best Overwatch that I've seen in a long time
That's what
from both teams. And it was just
So
play
here's
after
the
play after
thing.
play.
And I cannot forget the amount of times I have lost my absolute mind on Kings Row in
Yeah.
Oath. For some reason, that is the map where everyone in Oath just goes, we're going to push it to 100 miles an hour, and we are
Yeah.
not going to give up any fight, and we are going to pull miracles from behind us like a magician.
Yeah,
Like,
100%. Like, so going back to a little bit what Silver was saying, I've watched a lot of Overwatch, right? Pro Overwatch,
Mhm.
Collegiate Overwatch, and Oath Overwatch. The thing that blows my mind is the most intense games I have ever seen happen in Oath.
Yep.
Like, and I don't know if it's just because I'm so vested in every team, right? Because, it's Oath and, I'm a part of that. And so it means so much to me. But holy crap. Like, Like I've never had that level of anxiety. And so Merp, I'm with you. Like I love it because Merp gets all amped up. Like the energy Merp brings. Here's the thing. Anybody out there watching that needs a caster for Overwatch, if you're not having Merp on there, you're missing out. I've seen some recent Overwatch casting garbage because it's not the Merps. If you get the Merps, you win. Done. There was so much energy in that. So between Merp freaking out saying, I don't know, the thing you said all the time, I think we need to make an emote for Holy Bananas. Something to
Holy
that effect.
bananas. That is my
Holy
new
bananas.
catchphrase.
Like, and the energy and then how close all the matches are and stuff like that. That is so freaking intense. Tuesday night Overwatch, guys, makes me like need medication. It's so much.
I even told, like, there were moments like post fights where I was like, Imperium, go. I can't talk anymore. I'm so like out of breath and like starstruck because so the thing is, like, right, so us as a production team, we like to have a little fun. We like to talk about the upcoming matchups and what we might be able to see even before the broadcast goes up. I'll be entirely real with you. And I said the week before we had the Ember versus Rush match, I was like, you know, Dragon Gamer and Barty are a crazy pharmacy duo.
Mm-hmm.
But Dapper and Pressure are kind of cracked on the hit scan. I'm expecting Ember to sort of find a counter to Rush in that hit scan, and boy, did they not disappoint.
I think that was my biggest take, was the pressure on Cowboy was really giving Dragon a hard time. Like, Dragon was up in the air. I mean, don't get me wrong, Dragon was getting stuff done, right? But the Cowboy was that hard counter for that, for sure. You know what, Silver, from a coach's perspective in that match, like, you don't necessarily have to talk about the play or anything like that, but tell me, like, what you're thinking and what you're going through when the games are that close. Like, what's on your mind? What's happening to you?
Like, so there's multiple things, because obviously from a coach's perspective, basically everything, including with what's right. You can hear the comms, and a lot of the decisions that were made by the.
Oh, for sure.
And even I think the biggest part about that game was like the day leading up to it, because me and Chicken Joe were talking about this, how Chicken Joe was making composition to counter ours. We were making composition to counter theirs.
I remember this, yeah.
And so we were kind of brainstorming stuff, and I basically told Dragon Gamer, we both know that you could play a good aura, but we both know that you could also do a lot on a different character.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like, I play Ashe, I play May, and I was like, I don't think I have to say anything more.
Yeah.
And so we immediately rolled out on that. Me and Chicken Joe were talking about it on the second map on Junkertown. They were planning on countering our Pharah with their Pharah, but when we didn't roll out on a Pharah, he was like, oh no.
Crap, they were nervous.
But yeah, like I have to give props to, like, you can't. I think there was so much good. Like, you can see it from both sides that game was going either way, and both teams were communicating so well. And you can see that by some of the plays that happened.
It was so close.
Yeah, and
Ridiculous.
you know, there's so much I can say about my team, but there's so much I can say about Chicken Joe's team.
Yeah.
Like, I talk about Chicken Joe more than anyone else on this podcast, I think. But Chicken Joe is a phenomenal coach.
He is so good.
And I think you can see that on his team's team.
Right.
Like, they flow together really, really well.
100%. Yeah, and that's, you know, here's the thing. Like, I've always said that team synergy will always outperform high mechanical players. If you've got a team that plays 5 as a one unit, you will always play better than a team that has 5 players that are really individually good. And that's Joe's talent, right? So, you know, just for all the haters out there that think you have to be a top 500 player to be a good coach, Joe is a prime example of how that's not the case. Because I think Joe's only hit plat. Like, I think that's his highest. And but gosh dang, he's a great coach. Has he? Oh, okay.
But that doesn't matter.
But
every Olympian has a coach.
Right. Yeah. Michael Jordan, best basketball player of all time. Well, LeBron James scored more points than anybody. Right?
Had a coach.
They've all had a coach. Yeah. So, but speaking of that, we got to move on. Let's talk about Valorant for today. Here's the thing about Valorant, guys. Now, I don't know if you guys were watching it, because I know you had practice. So you had your team in practice, and Merp has a cheese factory, and so Merp was making his Merp flavored cheddar cheese. You can get it at Homeland.
Merp
Merp
flavored?
cheese. Well, it's Merp mixed.
yes.
Okay.
It's Merp mixed. It's not. It doesn't taste like Merp. My bad. My bad. Yeah. So anyway, he's running
yeah.
his cheese factory on Thursday. So he's got his curds and whey. You don't know. Buy Merp cheese today. Anyway.
Yep.
Valorant matches.
$9.99 a bag.
Here's the deal though. Like, one, shout out to Amnesia because he brings the Merp energy on the Valorant side. So he gets so juiced up, brings so much energy, so much passion to each match. It makes me feel like I'm a champion and I'm not even playing, I'm just watching. So, that's one that's really awesome. But, we had 3 matches, and I want to read these off because it's going to say something completely different than what I'm going to talk about here in a second. So let me pull this up. Here is, well, first I want to shout out to everybody that's in chat. Zodakis, or Zodicus, Omega, of course, Skynu. Thanks for hanging out. Gabe the Guru. Glad you guys are here. Okay, so here's where the matches. Space mode, 13-1 Vandals. Okay. Ace, 13-6 checkmate. And then the next match, Cryptid 13, damage 3. Okay, those sound like blowout matches. Am I right?
Mhm.
Like if you're reading that, you're like, oh crap. But the
Just
reality
read it.
is 100% not the case. Every freaking thing, every round in Valorant, in all of those matches, was so intense. It got down to like 1v1s almost every round. It was so crazy. And then like the spike got planted every time. And so it just came down to these like very few like just like, oh, I barely made a mistake. Boom.
Yeah.
And and then it was just so close. Like watching it again, like if you haven't had a chance, go back and watch it. Because every Val match was so close. And like the scores don't show it.
Yeah.
But it was like it came, like they were defusing the bomb and it was like 0.02 left and they were able to get the point after that. And yeah, Okajix was going nuts, dude, not missing headshots, right? But there were times that they were countering him and the teams were like changing up their style to counter each other and it got super close at that point. It was so insane that like if it was crazy. Like you got to go back and watch it.
What would be one of your like big plays?
Man, okay, so this is one of my weaknesses, guys. Straight up, to be honest, I cannot think of
Just one.
Yeah, I'm just not very good at like remembering those moments.
I got you.
I do know that Okajix was popping off. There was one Glaceon on
Viper.
No, it was oh gosh, what was it? She was playing Astra. And there was a point.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but there was a point where it was like her versus 2, and she was able to get 1, and then almost get 1. Oh no, Steve, which was also playing on Vandals, there was a point where he was defusing. It was 1v1. He's on the bomb defusing, and that who were they playing? Who was Vandals playing? Oh my god, you guys, this is my weakness. I gotta go now. No, Vandals was on Ash. Steve was playing on Vandals, and it was against Space Mode.
Yeah.
And it was 1v1. The Space Mode player, who I can't remember who it was like on the other side of the map. He starts defusing, but gets nervous because he's afraid someone's going to come behind him.
Oh.
So he like stops to defuse, turns around. If he would have held on to it,
Yep.
it would have done it. It would have taken it. It might have gotten it. Like I don't know if it really would have, but it was so close. And it might have been Stelio guy. You might be right, but it was just like you're like, what do you do in that instance?
Yeah.
Because you know there's another person. You know they're coming for you, and they've heard you defuse, and so they're trying to get there as quickly as possible. So you can't look at every angle. It was planted on, I think it was C. It was C point. I get my letters mixed up.
C
But
point on what map?
C. Well,
So what was the map of?
The map was the one where it's got A, B, and C, and
Lotus,
you got that.
Haven?
No, Haven. It was Haven. I think it was Haven.
Haven's got a garage.
Yeah, the what like B's right in the middle, and it's got the big like circle around it. Yeah, the two sides.
There's like a block in the middle.
Yes.
Of B.
Okay. Yes, it's Haven. Thank you guys in chat. Yeah. So it was Haven. And here's the thing, is Vandals were consistently planting B as well.
Yeah.
And so like who plants B off the rip like that? But they were getting it and holding it down, and then someone would get a lucky shot through a smoke and take out. You know, it was just
Yeah.
it was those types of crazy things that you can't just really plan for. It just kind of
Yeah.
happened. But anyway, so Steve's defusing on C, and it's default plant,
Yeah.
and so like he's looking down C long,
Yeah.
he's looking garage,
Yeah, there's
and
so
so he's
many
like,
places.
I know they're coming CT or sponsor, yeah.
Yeah.
CT, and so he's like, crap, I gotta look. So he goes up, looks, they're there, gets a shot, he gets like 1 hit point, and it was just enough to like,
Oh,
yeah, it was so
man.
you know that was one that was really close.
I love Valorant. I actually casted for OCU Valorant.
Oh, okay.
Man, was that a good cast. I think that was one of my favorite casts that I've done. But kind of made me like get back and like re-exhilarated into the game. Like watching OCU play Valorant is crazy.
Yeah, they're really
And
good.
like the biggest thing is what we were just talking about. Like Astra is the hardest character in that.
really,
The fact that Glaceon is playing Astra is amazing.
yeah.
Because I play controller. I can play smokes really good. But Astra is a whole different story.
Well, it was so I was actually Omega. I'm gonna bring you up. Omega and I were actually talking today about his team, so the Epic team, which is basically like a bunch of Oath kids.
Yeah.
And we were talking about like the understanding of players' roles and like what. So this goes back to like team synergy versus high mech. Is a lot of times, specifically in Valorant, Valorant is 100% a rhythm game,
Yep.
right? And so it's a momentum versus no momentum, and then how do you capitalize on the momentum and just riding that wave of rhythm. And so that's why like timeouts are super super important, and landing that timeout to change the momentum, etc. But understanding that your job as a controller or your job as a sentinel, right, is like a sentinel's job is to give the entire team data, right? And so you have to calm that. But if you've been playing ladder, mechanically talented by yourself, then and you're Sova, you just gonna shoot your arrow to get what you need.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're not gonna necessarily worry that everybody knows.
That's
Initiate it, right.
Sentinel does do information.
Right. Well, like if you're-
depends on the character.
Sure.
But they all.
But the point I'm trying to make is like knowing that role. So like Astra, for example,
Yeah.
you know, with her smokes and her sucks and everything, she slows down rhythm.
Yep.
So she can, you know, if she smokes off a place, you can't just run in and peek.
Yep.
Now you have to move and you have to be slow and do all that sort of stuff.
But that's the thing with Astra is that she's so different from any other smoke, because they all have ways to kind of slow down stuff. They all have smokes, but her mechanics in general are incredibly. They're almost jarring for a player that hasn't played Astra.
Oh,
before.
because you have to go to the map.
You have to you go to the map, you fly around. She also got like a nerf because she used to be really really good.
Yeah, she was like a must pick.
And like, it's one of those things.
Good
where
night, guy noob. We'll see you, man. Thanks for joining us.
I was talking, we were on the cast, and I was talking about how Akito, our
Mhm.
Astra player, is not only like crazy at the game, is playing Astra, who is a very like, you know, as smokes go, it's a lot of priming, setting. Like,
You have to know the plays.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes because you can't just throw out your smokes. You are prepping them.
You have to
for
set them on the
certain
map.
things.
Yeah.
And then same with like the sucks and cusses. And it's like you have to choose which one you're doing, and if you
Mhm.
choose it, you won't have it for a long time.
Right.
And he was doing all of that while also being the IGL.
IGL, right.
It's like this guy's brain is working at a, you know, overtime, and he's still landing some of the craziest shots you've ever seen. But I think anyone that like knows how to play Astra and like consistently and fast, because you can play Astra, but being able to play her as well as you can just play an Omen or a Brim
Right.
is incredibly impressive just on timing.
Sure.
And
Well, I think she does a better job. I don't know. Brim does a pretty good job of.
just because Brim has, so they all have their own way of doing
Hey, see
it.
you, Fry. Thanks for joining in.
Do we want to get that?
No. Let's move on. But anyway, so all the matches were super, super close. That was really fun to watch. And there again, it's so much fun for me to watch these. Like my grandpa, you know, he built a program called Kids Inc., which in the town I grew up in, Woodward, was a youth sports program. So they got a funding to build basketball gyms, and they had football, and soccer eventually,
Mhm.
basketball, and then baseball. And I remember, when going over to Grandpa's house, he would have the TV on, women's basketball. OU women's basketball was his favorite, and he loved watching them play. And that's because he had coached basketball for so much and helped get that program started. And I'm not trying to say I'm like, anything like my grandpa or anything, but I enjoy so much more watching the growth and watching these players play against each other than I do watching, the VCT lock-in right now. Like, I've been trying to watch VCT lock-in.
Mhm.
Today was, as Lion Gamer called it, was Tens Day, because it's the Tens redemption arc that was happening.
Heck yeah.
And
Is
I'm
it
done.
I thought Lock-in. Maybe that was-
Well, whenever you say like, I do genuinely agree. I actually have so much fun watching Oath over other big leagues. Like I do enjoy Overwatch League, obviously, but like there is something about the fact that you can just feel every ounce of passion still left in these games, especially in Oath, where like well, up to the point where like some fights that seem losable, teams are still committing ultimates, right? Like
Right.
there are things being done where it's a never give up moment, and that feeling of fire, especially when it pays off, is just so satisfying. Whereas whenever you take a look at professional sports and you take a look at, the ones that are elevated to perfection, it's like, oh, well, that one thing happened, so now here's what's gonna happen. Like it's whenever I
Oh, it's too
started
predictable.
sportscasting,
It,
when
well, predictable, and also
Well, here, let him finish. We'll come back to that. Sorry, Mert. We didn't mean to
you're
cut
fine,
you
you're
off.
fine. Whenever I started sportscasting, actually, whenever I was really getting used to it, I thought logically, okay, since I'm new, I should cast silver and gold games. Um, but actually, it's much easier to sportscast ones that are higher leveled
Right.
because things just become so much more predictable. But honestly, not having that predictability, not having that, oh, one player died, so now the entire team's gonna retreat and do nothing and twiddle their thumbs while they respawn so we can get into another fight, is so much more satisfying. And while it's
Yeah.
not like perfected down to a down to a fault. It's perfected down to a fault in professional esports versus this moment where they're playing as a team, they're playing as a unit, they're comboing ultimates together, and they're packing great individual performances, but they also have the drive to keep pushing it forward, regardless of if it's like the perfect choice or if a professional would do the exact same thing of
Right.
just retreating and twiddling their thumbs for 5 minutes.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Agree.
yeah, Omega Row actually put what I was gonna say,
Oh,
like
okay.
the unique storylines of each, and all the players are off. You're watching the growth of these players, as opposed to like
Mhm.
you're watching Carpe land another shot in the head.
Another, you know
Just-
what's going to happen.
Yeah, that's what he does. But these players are growing. They're in the way he puts it, on their own hero's journey. And they're in Oath for a reason. That's
Yeah.
to learn and grow
and get better. Yeah.
And they, most of them have a goal, being like college, the pro scene, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it's
Mhm.
really awesome watching these players up.
Mhm.
For
and
sure.
just especially like ranks, but like also like watching them grow as well, because a lot of the people I knew
Mhm.
when I was in Oath completely have changed. Like
Right.
now, just between
Right.
Well, they're all on the Valorant side.
yeah,
A lot of people you play.
my whole team.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We're going to run this really quick commercial for our friends at Gamer Advantage for sponsoring us, making sure that our growth is also not hampered by our vision or the hurting of our eyes after matches. Let's run this real quick. Nope, that's not it. Scrap that. It's not on this one.
Nope.
My bad. Anyway, check out gameradvantage.com. You can use the code FATCAP10 and get 10% off. All Oath players get 50% off with their coupon code. If you need it, it is in the Discord, or you can DM me directly. So, thank you, Gamer Advantage.
Yep.
Also, shout out FatCap for making all our jerseys. Fatcap.gg. Get you some gear at hey.fatcap.gg.
I will be
I need to
getting-
make a coupon code. for that.
Hey,
I will-
Keystorm got his
go ahead.
glasses today.
Oh, did he really?
Yep, got his
Oh,
glasses
cool.
today. How well priced?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Nice.
Like you can't beat prescription glasses for
No.
like $100.
I mean,
That's how much he got him.
no kidding. Wow.
$100.
So-
Can't beat that.
I actually was gonna say I'm getting my new prescription here in a few weeks, and I plan on actually filling that over to a Gamer Advantage lens. No, unironically, that is a MERP move
There you go.
that
Good
is
brand.
happening.
So anyway, shout out to them for helping us out. We appreciate you guys and everything that you're doing over there. So let's move to the pro stuff because oh my gosh, lots to talk about this week. Oh wait,
Before
What?
that,
Before
we
that-
have a few. We also have Otha now. Covered.
well we got to do the big brain play
Okay.
of the
Go,
play
go,
of the week.
Go for your big brain.
I don't have it. I don't know.
You don't
Merp,
have
what's
a
your big?
single
I
big-
don't. Like I said,
Okay.
I couldn't really remember
So-
one. I just wanted to really wear the hat.
So from the pro scene, because I have a big brain play from my team.
okay, what is that? What was
Okay,
that? We'll give
so
you that.
this
Here,
is-
hold on. There you go.
Okay, we're back at Kings Row. All right, this is the 4th round. We're on defense. Brought out the pharmacy again. The opponent needs.
You don't have to hold on to that. It
Dude.
stays.
Yeah, I was.
Oh,
just
you're
doing it.
channeling.
I was just,
Channeling all
Yeah,
the-
I was braining.
Okay.
Trying to recall the moment and feeling. So my team is playing. We're doing a split poke where we're sitting main, shooting the attackers, and then Dragon Gamer is off on a flank on that stairwell.
Okay.
And word for word, Barty is screaming at Dragon Gamer to get away from that flank because trolling. Like, no, don't flank here. I don't want to die here. All right.
Okay, I see.
And because they're starting to rotate and they're gonna try and catch Dragon out, right?
Oh, okay. I'm
Can-
following.
And then completely uncalmed, no words. Barty is just, Dragon, please get us out of here, because she's the mercy pocket.
Right, so
or
she's gotta
is the
leave,
but-
person
Right.
at mercy pocket and is hoping. Carnage and the rest of the team decides to pincer them in that little corner, and so they have Faro Barrage coming from one direction. Carnage has trapped them in that little corner in the stairwell.
Oh, I remember this. I remember
And
this.
it was like a completely uncalmed thing. And I don't know if you ever heard of this phrase, but it's like one player doing something stupid is trolling, but a team
Yes,
doing something
yes.
stupid is a play.
Is a
Is
play,
a plan.
And
Is a
it was the
plan. Yes,
pinnacle
sir.
of what that was, because I just remember Barty just screaming at Dragon Gamer to please let's just get out of here, and then they just like come
It just
in
all
from the
worked.
side swipe, and it flowed together so well, giving us like a good little play there.
Yeah, Coach Solis says that all the time to her players.
Yep,
Is like, one person doing something dumb
yep.
is trolling, but a whole team doing something dumb is a play. I love that. I love that saying. All right, we'll give that the big brain play of the week with the big dumb hat, which I freaking love.
I want to
Buy
bring-
more big dumb hats. I agree.
Well, but I want to bring up an Ember.
Okay.
I'm
Oh,
trying
don't
to
steal my
think
play
of-
now.
There were so many that I really enjoyed. Where I'm trying to think of one that just really, really stood out to me.
Well, let's come
I've
back
got
to that.
one.
Let's come back to that. I want to get to Merp's got so much stuff loaded up for the hot take portion of the day.
Okay.
Oh, don't set that down. I don't want to get bunny fur on it. It's already kinda,
That's fair. Okay.
Uh,
But okay, before that again, we still have to do some oath announcements.
Okay. Yes.
Being-
yes. We do.
More
we
with
have-
announcements.
The Oath Council was announced on Thursday.
Yeah, the player council. So first and foremost, everybody listen up. I did not vote, period. Home and OK did not vote, period. Like, I just want to get that out there. We did not vote at all. But, yes, congratulations to all the players on the player council. I'm excited for this because, one of my favorite things is to, like, I always want to take the feedback that I get and kind of, I interpret it through kind of a lens, right? Like the lens of where it's coming from, how can I apply it? And, is this something that we can initiate now? Is this something that we need to keep in tension for the next time we make any types of changes in Oath? What I'm really excited about the player council is it's elected by their peers and coaches and parents that got to vote. And then they have the opportunity to come up with new ideas from their perspective that none of us, like in admin, could ever come up with on our own. And it also gives everybody like an opportunity, to apply, to flex their leadership, and then gives me a lot more help. So that's, at the end of the day, that's what it's about for me, is getting more help. So yes, we have the player council. It's player council. It's been elected. It's on social media. Who wants to do the rundown?
Rundown.
You know who everybody. I know everybody that did what. So
Okay.
I
I think I can remember. Maybe not. We'll see though.
let's see how far
So
you get.
we've
I'll
got-
correct you.
Nor as president.
Yes.
VP is Candela.
Candela, correct. Which I love that. So we have Overwatch and Valorant side as the top as the two leadership. So that's exciting.
Then for Overwatch representatives, we have Lion Gamer, of course, and Bilgerman.
Right, which are going to be great.
Yeah, probably your two. If you were looking for the people that applied for that,
Yeah,
those are probably the two. That
I
you're
mean,
looking
there
for.
wasn't anybody honestly that applied that I was going to be like, oh gosh, what are we going to do?
Yeah,
danger. Red.
it was a
red.
good balance.
Like
Red
realistically,
alert,
there's
red
not
alert.
even anybody in Oath that I would feel that way about,
What about me?
except Silver
Oh.
is the only one. No, I'm just kidding.
Then,
From a playing perspective,
then Valorant side, we have Panther
Panther,
and the other one.
I know this one.
You?
Yeah, chat. Do you guys know? Norm probably know. I know. Merp, what's your guess? Do you know who the other? Yeah, there it is.
Oh my gosh, that's such a meme.
Yeah.
I forgot Rumor again. That's all.
There's a rumor that he's the Valorant rep.
That-
so
that's
Wow,
I can't forget
bravo,
that
bravo,
one,
ha
especially
ha ha.
considering certain things that we might have planned for next week.
Okay, no,
depending.
absolutely. I gotta comment on this because Gabe said my presidency would quickly become anarchy, and that is true just because of the hair power.
Air
The
power.
the hair power. Gabe the Guru on Saturday at Jersey Pickup
Yep.
rolls up with the dominating hair. Like, dude put on the mega hat, and it was too much. It was too much because his hair is just. I mean, his brain's like pushing. It's so big, it's pushing all the hair out, and it's like
It's
it-
a big afro.
it was. I just like. I am speechless. So yeah, it would absolutely turn into anarchy because we would all just like bow down to the power of the hair.
The last time I saw him at just grand finals, he had really short hair then too.
Yeah, no. This is not short.
I know. I was there.
Oh yeah, you were.
Trying to grow it out.
It was awesome.
Become
you
the
know
Bob
what? We
Ross.
screwed up though. I gotta. So first, I gave Silver the job. I was like, hey, here's the jerseys. Make sure the kids that come in get them. Silver's on it. Like he is. Here, he's like, what's your name? I got your blah blah blah. We had all the people that came to pick up. We had notebooks. We did not hand them out.
Not a single note. That was such a troll.
Made me so
I remember
frustrated.
at the end
I was
of
like,
it,
oh, we
everyone was
forgot.
already gone. And you went,
Yes.
oh, the notebooks.
Anyway, so okay, going back to what we were talking about. Rumor is Valorant.
Yep.
Rumor and Panther, which there again, great reps for Valorant.
And then our final position is event coordinator
Mhm.
goes to CP Tiger.
Which is also great again because you know here's the great thing about Sleepy is one, she'll talk to anybody, right? She has no fear of talking to anybody, and she will talk to you about whatever. And what better person for event type stuff? Like I could literally just give Sleepy Tiger a list of phone numbers and say call these people and have them like bring a booth to our finals, and she would be like, okay, done. And she would be able to call all those people, and all of a sudden we'd have like 500 booths at
It would
finals. And I'm like,
materialize out
"Sleepy,
of thin
how
air."
did you? These aren't even the people I told you to call. And she'd be like, yeah, I just called numbers because I lost the sheet or something.
I
And
really
then they would all
wanted-
be in,
I really wanted hot dogs, so I
Yeah.
got a hot dog stand.
and they would all be there. And then Gabe would be back there with his hair, being like, yeah, I don't know, hot dog.
I mean, not even wrong at all. It's crazy. No, I do think Sleepy's gonna be great for that. I think she's out there enough to sort of like to bring people into a group and actually do something fun. So I'm really excited to see what this spawns for Oath.
Yeah. I talked to Digital today, and Digital is planning a lot of the stuff for our finals. So I don't want to give too much away, but guys, it's gonna be super huge. So I'm really excited to reveal some of that when it gets time to reveal that. So I'm really excited for the player council, and they're gonna have a pretty big part in helping with that. Let's see, what else did we talk about? Competitive team 1 in Overwatch played in the Battle City in Tulsa.
Yep.
Which is an interesting esports program. They travel with the cheer contests and have esports contests with them. We only had one team to play against, which was kind of unfortunate, but it was a good match. It went all the way to map 5.
Yep.
But Oath Team won, which was great. So shout out to all of them.
And we had jersey pickups.
We had jersey pickup. Yeah, that Saturday. Yeah, I've been driving all over the country, which has been really fun. So yeah, we were up in Tulsa for that. We had jersey pickups in Tulsa at lunchtime. Everybody jumped in the car, drove all the way back to Oklahoma City, had jersey pickup in Oklahoma City. So that was a lot of fun and a good party. It was good.
Yeah.
Everybody had a good time.
It was a lot of fun. I was kind of flabbergasted at the amount of people that showed up our late night.
Oh yeah,
because that was crazy.
There was a lot of people. I don't know how many. I didn't keep track.
I handed out a lot of jerseys.
You did. There's still some jerseys. So if you're a player and you have not gotten your jersey, DM me so we can get it. We only have 6 of you. Probably you guys got your. But anyway, so let's go. Let's jump to the pro stuff. That's what we're here to talk about. We got to talk about the hot takes.
Hot takes.
We got to start wrapping this up. I don't want to do a 3-hour cast again, guys. I'm sorry. I just can't.
All
right. So Mert, take us away. Are we doing hot takes or are we just doing?
I've got hot takes ready. I got 3 hot takes here.
Okay.
Here I'm ready and cooking.
Hot takes.
Hot takes.
All
Esports players have it easier than traditional sports players. For our first Twitter hot take.
That's your hot take?
Afternoon.
Dude, I'll take that one.
You think they do?
100.
No,
Wait.
that's not my. These are not my hot takes. These are Twitter hot takes.
These are Twitter hot takes. Okay, say it one more time.
Twitter hot takes.
Say it one more time.
Esports players have it easier than traditional sports players.
I don't. Easy is such a wide word. Easy in
Sure.
what sense?
Those players are babies. I'll agree.
No, I think esports is a bunch of babies. Like it's not just the play. Like
Yeah.
you know how many armchair freaking millionaires that are talking about Overwatch League right now, and how like $20 million buy-in is such. How stupid is that? It's like you're not seeing the big picture. You're not seeing the big picture. Like $20 million realistically is a drop in the bucket when we're talking about big things, right? Like there's like a good example. Pro NBA team, the Thunder, moved from Seattle to Oklahoma City. They had to pay $75 million just
to move.
Just to move. That was just the licensing.
God.
They had to pay out the rest of the Seattle contract with the NBA, and that's what cost $75 million. So just that, just because it's like, hey, we're gonna be in Oklahoma City now, $75 million. That was it. That didn't include anything with the new stadium that was all like being renovated and all that sort of stuff here, which at that time was the Ford Center, now called the Paycom Center. There was no, like, you know, there was no broadcast rights set up. There's no local advertising or anything like that set up. None of that set up. $75 million just for the like privilege.
That's crazy.
And that does not include the franchise fee.
Okay, well, if we were gonna break down this argument a bit,
Or
bit
player
by bit,
contracts.
we
Good point,
could
Omega. Good point.
we could go entry into the professional level and physical, because I think those are 2 very big encompassing things when we talk about traditional and esports. And I would say personally, I know for a fact, and I will say this much. It is harder to become a professional esports athlete, as in getting your foot in the door through to the pro league, than it is to be in a traditional sport. And you can do that. You can break that down just by simple math. We talk about Overwatch League. It's got, what is it?
20 teams of
18
5.
teams?
21 teams.
21 teams of 5. That's 100 and it's 105 people in the entire world of the millions that play Overwatch, or at least at its peak, that are allowed to compete as an existence. How many players are on a football team?
Ton.
And how many of those? How many NFL teams are there?
Let's do NBA. I know that better. There are
Sure.
450 pro players in the NBA. That's 30 teams with 15 players on their active roster. So NBA teams are limited to 15 players. So there's 450 NBA players. Here's what it is for me, Merv. So 21 teams at 5 teams. How many is that? Or 5 players per team?
So in Overwatch, like, it's 105. 105 total overall.
So there's quadruple the amount in the NBA. Okay, but where there are a lot more people playing basketball.
And you can do it from a lot younger.
And that's the other thing, right? So this is why I love Oath so much, is because the reason, and this is what we're going to really get into for this hot take, right? Is we're seeing so many of the pro orgs collapsing, right? And
Yes.
the reason that that's happening is just like what we talked about when we were watching Oath. We love to see the growth. There's the story, like Omega was talking about, for each one of these players. You don't. Where did Carpe come from? Like, he's just good, and all of a sudden now we see this guy that's just good. Like, oh great, I like that, but it's not something where you've watched, Voltage, right? Start out as like this 3 foot tall kid with Justin Bieber hair, and now he's like 6.5 foot tall, and is his own dude, and he went from like a silver kid gamer to being like, I don't know what he's at now, Diamond, something like that.
He's at Diamond 1 is his
Okay, so
peak
almost mastered.
on DPS. Yep.
Yeah, he's almost masters, right? And so that's fun to watch. You see that in basketball, right? You see that kid that was, playing in that little league program, that little, I don't know what little basketball is called, but little basketball.
Oh, basketball.
And then they start playing on their high school team, and then they play on a traveling team, and they're doing that at the same time, and they get picked up by a college, and they go D1, and you have them with the signing, and they put the hat and then they take it off, and it's a different one, and they're like, yeah, it's this one, and they do that for football and all that stuff. You can follow that, and so you take this huge amount of people playing basketball, and then you funnel it down to 450. But the other thing, and this is where I was talking to Omega Row actually about this, is you as a person right now didn't grow up playing Overwatch. I mean, you kind of did, but you didn't. I didn't.
I didn't.
Right? My peers did.
You didn't have an Overwatch club in middle school.
Right.
You didn't have a coach that was there from the very beginning to teach you the fundamentals from start to finish.
But it's not even that. Like, you become a fan. Like, the people I know that love football, they played football in middle school and high school. They maybe had not played in college, but they did it then, or they had some sort of connection to it. Or maybe a lot of people went to football games in college as because I'm at this school, it's the school pride thing, and then they love it that way. And so then when they graduate college, they still love college football, and then maybe one of their favorite players that they went to school with got drafted to the Denver Broncos, and so now they love the Denver Broncos, and the Denver Broncos, we're gonna get season tickets to go watch my friend Billy play.
Yep.
Right. And so there's that whole legacy of connection that we don't have in esports. And so when you start at the top, but there's that shake, the viewership is so shaky because there's not very many 41-year-old guys that are loving the pro scene of Overwatch as much. And I think that's one of the reasons that League is so popular, is because it's been like the longest competitive game. It's been out there longer than anything, really, when it comes to the esports scene. And so people have kind of grown up and watched that. CSGO's the same way. Like, I know people that played in college CSGO because they played with their dad as kids.
Yeah.
And so now that dad's involved to watch and support, and they love CSGO, even though kind of CSGO's kind of fallen off. But they still love it because that was the game they played as a kid. And we'll get there with esports. Yeah. But right now, all these orgs are starting super high level, right? And they're trying to be profitable. They got all this money dumped into it. They dumped it into player scholarships. I mean, into player contracts. Thank you. And then like trying to build, selling hoodies or, creative content and trying to be content creators and that sort of stuff. But I talked about this on my channel. It's like, that's not sustainable because if you look at Supreme, right? Supreme is a brand that they started as a skateboard shop in New York, but now they're like a high-end fashion brand. They're actually owned by the same company that owns North Face. But what makes them successful is they've got few stores. Their product's hard to get, and then the people that run the stores, they're paid. They're not getting paid $100,000 a year, right? But if you're an esports org and you're trying to sell hoodies and stuff, you can't sell them like that, and then your staff is getting paid $100,000 a year. You've got all these players on your teams that are making big money. You've got all these people that are trying to support them and making big money, but you're swapping them out. There's just not that story. There's just not that legacy, right? And that's what's great about Oath. That's why it's so fun to watch, is because we're building that program for the legacy, and we see this happen, right? So when I was a kid, skateboarding died. right? Like you could go to any store and buy skateboards and stuff, and then all of a sudden they were gone, and nobody skateboarded. People yell at me, "Skate or die," blah blah blah. Rollerblading got huge, right? And so like a lot of us were rollerblading because it was like, okay, this is new, kind of the same places. This is a lot of fun, and then and so rollerblading had like sponsors like Paul Mitchell, the shampoo company, right? Or there were tons of people in the space. Nike bought Bauer rollerblade. So Bauer made hockey skates, and they started making aggressive skates, so like to ramp skate with, right? And Nike bought Bauer. Reebok made skates at one point with pumps. They even had pump skates. And then all of a sudden, you could go to the mall and buy rollerblades to skate, aggressive skates. What's called aggressive. So you could go buy ramp skates at the mall. Like Penn Square Mall had a skate shop where you could buy the brands, the clothing, right? So I bought Senate clothing, I bought wheels, I bought bearings, I bought skates, hoodies, hats, and all that sort of stuff. I had all those brands there. And now, where was the last place you bought a rollerblade? You can't.
Yeah.
You can't even. There's not really even. You have to buy them online. But look what's big again. What can you go buy at the mall? Skateboards. You can go to Zoomies and buy yourself a skateboard. You can buy wheels. You can buy brands. And now it's okay for people to wear. Like I saw a dude today with a Decline hat, which is like a big snowboarding brand. And so it's okay for people to wear that clothes as a skateboard, but not be a skateboarder. Where before that wasn't a thing. Like if you were wearing skateboard gear, you better be a skateboarder, or you're a poser, right? That's what we would say. You're a poser. Don't be a poser.
Love that.
Right.
If you go to California.
Well, everybody skateboard, right? Like everybody skateboard. Everybody's had a skateboard at one time or wanted to be a skateboard, and that's Champion's another good example. Champion was like straight up. If you were a kid in PE class in middle school with Champion shorts, you're gonna get beat up. Just because it was like, I mean, not really beat up, but you're probably gonna get made fun of because it was like straight up the Kmart, Walmart athletic stuff. They pulled it off the shelf, and then all of a sudden, Champion came back in as like this high-end brand that everybody's doing collabs with.
You're really attacking my dad, right?
Well,
my
so
dad
anyways,
wore like a Van shirt, got called a poser while we were walking up the beach. He's got a
Just
bunch
recently?
of Champion stuff. Yep.
I mean, well, Champion now like it's different. It's not the same now, but
My
I mean,
dad's always
Vans is
had
in the
Champion
mall.
stuff.
You can go
So-
buy Vans in the mall.
so I understand like the mirror and the reflection from this skateboarding to rollerblading to esports now, but that's the thing that I think people are so afraid of whenever it comes to esports. I mean, we touched on this a little bit last week. Is just the fact that the validity of the market and the ability to mess an entire setup of a legacy up is so much higher. I feel like than the already like. Okay, so let's look at sports. You have a very small selection of professional sports that are actually available and actually have a very good scene with a lot of visibility and a lot of constant viewership, right? Whereas right now in esports, whereas now in video games in general, we've got tens of thousands trying to enter the same space, and this is what we're seeing. We're starting to see a little bit of a trickle down now. We're starting to see some people realize that it takes a lot more effort and a lot more consistency and a lot more patience, I think, personally, than what most people are willing to give it. And so it's starting to sort of trickle down and die. So what I'm hoping to see in the next, like, decade even, are those few golden standard games that are going to continue sticking around forever, because otherwise we're never going to get that legacy, right? Otherwise we're never going to get the feeling of, hey, this game is going to be around when my kid is able to play it, and so now I will get the ability to teach them how to play the game, and they can grow with me and become an even bigger fan, right? So it's one of those things where we talked about, picking and choosing what esport to actually back up, because it just depends on how easy it is to digest essentially. But it is that risk, right? That high validity that is the esports and sports gaming market that I think makes this whole shakeup such a scare for so many people. Like, we've seen like a dozen massive professional orgs go under in the span of literally.
Yeah, so I mean that's why I was so frustrated with Overwatch 2, because like why would you have to put a 2 on it? Like, change it up and just still make it Overwatch. There's never been a football 2, but the rules change every year. right? But that doesn't change the core of the game. And Overwatch doesn't change, even though it's 5v5 now. I still feel like the team play of it is actually still great, and that's to me what made Overwatch great. But here, let's talk about the orgs real quick. So, if you don't know, the Guard shut down out of LA. They basically fired everybody except the staff for the teams, which are the LA Gladiators and the LA Guerrillas. Call of Duty Gladiators are in Overwatch League. And
A
Guerrillas are
United.
in Call of Duty. Do what?
A United died as well
Oh yeah,
over,
that was a while
over
back. We talked about
Christmas.
it. But so,
Right.
so what's important about this is the overarching org owns sports franchises, right? And they brought esports in, and now they're said, hey, we're not doing esports. And if somebody doesn't buy the teams by the time the season's over, we're gone. The teams are done. Like, we're not going to participate in this anymore, right? That's a big thing. The head of Toronto Defiant was a big dude in the Olympics, and he just stepped down like yesterday or today, something like that. So like, big dude and they own a couple of different orgs. They own Toronto Defiant, they own the Toronto Ultra, which is a Call of Duty team, and then Mad Lions, which plays in League of Legends. You know, those are big things that have collapsed. Big money investment now, you know, gone out of that, right? But this is skateboarding in the 80s and early 90s, right? Like it was huge, big money, drops off. Rollerblading comes in, big money, drops off. Skateboarding comes back up. That's what we're seeing with esports. And I think you're exactly right, Murph. It's like we've got to really protect what we classify as an esport. Now, am I going to support kids playing, you know, Lawn Mowing Simulator 5000? Yeah, sure.
Why not?
Like, that's great. You play that game. You do you. And if there's there's competition around it, that's great. But that's not something that is worth necessarily investing in. Like, that to me, that's like horseshoe. Like, I can appreciate horseshoes.
Right.
The park here has a pretty great horseshoe pitch, I think they call it. I have a friend that was sponsored, had his name on a horseshoe. You could buy his pro horseshoe. It's totally cool. I get that. But now, are we expecting that to make money? Not necessarily. There might be some people making money in it, but does making money justify that or not justify it? And I don't think it matters, because the passion is there. And so if we have a show that's just talking about whatever game comes out next and we're sticking with that, like that's fine to me. It's the whole reason, like, you don't have to, esports doesn't have to exist in the Olympics to be justified. Esports doesn't have to have a court case that says, yes, it's officially a sport to be justified. Like, if we needed to call it something different just to get it through people's heads, and I'll call it whatever. I don't care.
E-games.
My nose is going nuts. So we have rabbits in here, and I'm allergic
But
to
no,
them.
I totally hear you. And Silver, if you've got an opinion piece on this, I've already spoken a bit, but just be more selective, I think, and then also be patient. I think a lot of companies were like, oh my goodness, this one game exploded, so we're going to do the exact same thing, and that's where the thousands came in, right? And now that none of these organizations are really popping off, now that they've sunk so much money so hastily into a industry that hasn't really boomed yet, to get to where it needs to be.
Well, it did boom. We're in the bust right now.
Right.
We had millions of dollars. We had, J-Lo owns a team. Shaq owns, Drake owns part of it. But here's the, oh man, I just lost out a really good thing about this. Wow. Anyway, crap, it was good. Hey, let's jump to this real quick. I want to talk about what Omega says. Omega says we're witnessing the cycle of a new sport, the birth of the sport, the boom, the Wild West, the bubble burst, the rebuild, stability. Yeah, I think actually I read kind of this very same thing from one of my friends, Donna Walters, who she runs an esports org out in California. And by the way, guys, California esports is not on the same level as Midwest esports. They are so far behind what we're doing here in Oklahoma. It's insane. So like the idea, we have the OKSE here, we have the OESL, we have Oath, of course, we have OSSAA and Play VS. They don't have that out there. There's like, you can go to a high school and most of them, if they have a team, it's barely a club. And most likely it's going to play Smash Brothers, something like that. And same way collegiately. Like there's a couple of the colleges that play, but not all of them. Golly, my nose is going nuts. So that's Donna was talking about that. She's out of California. She was kind of saying the same thing. Cammy says, I miss E United. Whatever. My favorite games are even older, says Gabe. Like Primeval back. I don't know. Yeah, Gabe loves them old games. Real question, there are two very different fields of esports teams and one-on-one esports. Yeah, how do you think the two will evolve alongside each other? Well, one, if you haven't seen what Evo just talked about, they've got Street Fighter 6, they've got fighting games this year popping off. Mortal Kombat 12, Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, huge. Right? Those are all big games. That model is a lot more like the bowling model, right? You have a tournament, everybody comes together, plays in that tournament.
Right.
You have a winner, and depending on how many of those tournaments you play in, then you can, you have like locals, regionals, and then majors effectively, and then the finals or whatever. And so you play in as many of those tournaments as you can. It's kind of the old school esports model. I think that has its own place. I love the team play. For me, it's the team play. That's why Overwatch League is a huge thing to me, is because it's the only org that wasn't focused on providing money for pro players and a place for pro players. It was created fundamentally in the beginning for viewership. Each team was required to build a stadium as part of that $20 million buy-in. Each place had each team had a location for their franchise. So ultimately, at the end of the day, it was so everybody could put on a Dallas Fuel shirt or a Philadelphia Fusion or a LA Gladiator. They could have that, go watch a match and see it act live. And that was killed by COVID. That was 100% killed by COVID. So the plan for Overwatch League, all those haters on Twitter that are like, I knew this was going to happen because it was $20 million buy-in. It's just stupid. You don't understand the purpose. You don't understand the purpose of what was trying to happen there. And that's, to me, what's so heartbreaking, is because I got into esports because I finally saw that happen. Like, I had peripherally watched League of Legends stuff. Okay, great, whatever. But I can't get behind Team Liquid. I don't freaking care. Right? And that's why they always like followed the players, because it doesn't necessarily, I like this player, I'll watch that player, I don't care what team he plays on. Overwatch League and Call of Duty League, for that matter, flip that, right? Because, I love Dallas Fuel, I love Houston Outlaws. Houston Outlaws is my second favorite team, right? So I'm stoked for the Houston Outlaws because they got these players, right? I'm not a Dallas Fuel fan anymore because their players have changed, or I'm not a Houston fan because their players. I don't care. I'm still a Houston fan, and now I'm even more excited for them. Nothing else in esports exists like that. And
a little bit like Valorant. I'm still like I've been more invested. I tell my team all the time, if I was a little bit worse in Overwatch and a little bit better in Valorant, I'd probably be a Valorant. Because I've spent every morning, I take a shower. While I'm taking a shower, I have like a deep breakdown of a match
in your head.
While I just have it
spike
on YouTube. On YouTube,
Oh,
I'll be listening
Oh,
to
okay.
the
I thought you meant
plays.
like you were shower thoughting your way through a
Well,
map.
sometimes I do that too.
I mean, I do that too.
I love Valoplant, and I love the strategies that come out of like tactical Valorant. Good Valorant
agree.
games.
I like that.
Love it. It actually gets my gears going. I've always been like
But
a strategy.
who's your
style.
favorite team?
That's the thing. There isn't any.
Yeah, you
And
might like the Sentinels because Sinatra, and you might have liked Sinatra. Now he plays for the
Well, let's say Shroud.
Okay, Shroud. Yeah, because Sinatra's a bad guy.
Let's say
I was
Shroud.
gonna
But-
say, I don't know. I'm gonna back out of that one real quick.
But the thing is like you can't. I loved Optic Valorant because it was Optic Texas.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Not because they were the win. I mean, I'm stoked that they won, but that's the missed
big
mark.
thing.
That's the
No,
missed
I
mark.
was. Yeah, I agree. I think teams are going to be much better at becoming the big leagues per se. Not that one-on-one esports hasn't currently been a big sport, but like the fact that you can franchise and the fact that you can get around a team is such a vital thing to building a fan base. And I don't think we're talking about building a fan base based off one player in, let's say, Smash Bros, versus building a fan base based off of an entire city and an entire region, like
Yeah,
Dallas
but-
Fuel.
But Smash Brothers is a good example because in fighting games, you don't care what team that person's on, and that's the broken model, right? The other thing a lot of people don't realize is that in esports, the money that's won from these events goes to the players, doesn't go back to the org.
Yeah.
And that's got to change. Like, as much as I would love to say, yeah, as a the people who are making money in esports right now are the players. And then once the org collapsed, they're like, okay, whatever, I'm still playing the game, and now I can stream
Yeah.
and still make money from streaming or whatever.
True.
The players are the ones that are making the money, and that's what's going to have to switch. Like, I think money needs to get out of esports, period. Like, it doesn't need to be, like, we don't have a Stanley Cup. We don't have a, that yeah, there's going to be money around it, but that comes from the org, right? The NHL pays the players that won because it's all the teams pay in,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then that money comes out. But like the NFL, for example, that's a nonprofit. They technically don't make any money every year because the money they give back out is blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Right. But all of the other periphery that happens for the Denver Broncos or the Dallas Cowboys or whatever, that's on them as a municipal org. Right. So the upkeep of the stadium, all the the local broadcast rights, the merch sales, the licensing for merch production, all that sort of stuff.
Mhm.
That's what Overwatch was trying to do.
Yep.
But so that's my big hot take is like realistically, money needs to get the heck out of esports because as these big orgs are gone, right? Like
Mhm.
here's a good example. Like if we were to have the big Oath final or a big Oath open invitational, right? Anybody can come in and play. At some point, if we offer more money, it's going to eliminate all of the Oath teams, right? Because if I offered $25,000 to a winning team, the only teams that are going to come up and compete are all like contenders. Like I would
True.
have Illinois State Redbird on my porch saying they're going to play if we offered $25,000.
True.
And so what does that mean for Voltage? What does that mean for Nor? What does that mean for Gabe the Guru? What does that mean for all of these players? They can come and watch, but they won't get to play and compete. And that
not
sucks.
even that. Like that's all. Like the coaches, all of our staff, right? Like,
Right. You just get to watch now
Yep.
because and so it eliminates that whole like local aspect of, and that's fine if that's what you're going for. Like if you're going for that big thing. But ultimately, esports is about eyeballs. It's a new ad medium.
Mm-hmm.
And the unfortunate side of things is the people that were in charge didn't think of it like that. And the people that are in charge haven't thought about the additional revenue streams that need to be created to grow. They thought about winning tournaments, making money from that, and moving on to the next thing, and then selling some advertising for jerseys or on the website, and then a whole bunch of hoodies.
Yep.
And Potino's battle room at the Cash App compound, right? Like, but that's a freaking great example too. 100 Thieves, when they came out with the Cash Out compound video, you watched it, Merp watched it, Omega watched it, Gabe the Guru watched it, and you guys were like, holy crap, this is esports, this is popping up. But when has any content from 100 Thieves come out and got that much viewership again? Have you watched anything at that level? No. Merp?
I watched some San Francisco Shock and NYXL
No, just
material,
100
but
Thieves.
not.
Just 100 Thieves.
Oh no.
No, but you watched the Cash App compound video, right?
Probably. How old is that?
I got the card, so I
Okay.
was. I was in.
Okay, well,
Well,
Remember 100 Thieves had the Cash App card?
I didn't know that.
What? I had that. That was my Cash App card for a long time.
I had no idea. I didn't
Yeah.
know that at all. Oh. But the reality there is like they had the potential to create all this content that could keep you engaged, and they didn't. They didn't. They made more shirts.
mhm.
Then they bought Juvie or came up with Juvie, which is so dumb. They bought High Ground, right? Because they're trying to diversify. Anyway, so going back to the hot take, because we got to wrap this up. Answering Gabe the Guru, no, VR will never. Actually, I won't say never. Right now, as it stands, VR will not be a real player because it's not fun to watch. It's not fun to watch. Like even Beat Saber, which
Yeah, yeah,
kinda had a
yeah.
flash
So
in the
I
pan.
think, right, VR is booming as an industry right now. Or like
I
it is in
disagree.
it is in the molting phase. It is a caterpillar that has entered the cocoon and is getting ready to turn into a butterfly. The amount of
Yeah.
innovation
like
going
I've
into
heard
VR,
that
and this is
for, like,
actually an
a
industry that I
long
follow
time.
very closely. The amount of innovation that's going into VR, the amount of technology that's being advanced, like the only thing that's going to stop VR as it is right now, I think personally, from being an esports scene, and is the fact that it's not polished enough to look or feel entertaining from the outside perspective.
Yeah.
Yes, esports games are incredibly immersive because you are literally looking through your own eyeballs into a game world, but from the outside perspective, they're not really built yet or polished enough to be like a wow factor that you see from the outside
I
world.
don't
So I
want to go
think
to an
Dude,
event and watch a dude play Beat Saber where he's just got his things on, he's doing like this, and it has it up on the big screen. That just, it doesn't appeal to me. I think from an esports perspective, it's
Mhm.
the horseshoe.
Yeah.
Final words on
I'd
that.
agree
I
with
think it'll
that.
get there. It'll get there. I think.
don't know though. So I'm at two different things. So I bought like a VR headset, like the first portable one. I can't remember what it was, but it was the Quest, right? It was the first time
Oh yeah.
you could get like a really portable one, you know, revolutionary for its time, which all VR headsets
Mhm.
tend to
Every time
come
they're
out to
yeah.
be. And like I was into it. It is cool, but I don't play on my Oculus anymore.
Yeah, well, that's even in the
Sure.
90s. You guys don't know, but there was VR in the 90s. I remember going to an arcade and thinking it was crazy because you could pay extra tickets and get into the VR, and there was a person across from you, and it was this like battle arena. There was a big green dragon flying around, and it was almost like a paintball type.
Yeah.
There were like things, and there was a black and white checkerboard, and you were in the little thing, and you got a controller that moved you forward, and you could shoot. That was in the 90s.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at, 30, 40 years later, it's still not there. The Virtual Boy wasn't real VR. It was just 3D.
I was gonna say the Virtual Boy was not VR. No, I think I do generally think that it's only because right now we are in the tech boom of VR, and I think that once it
See, I
is
think we're out
fleshed
of it.
out,
I think it's
and
already
we're
past it.
able to reach the promises that VR has, I think it really could.
I just don't think it'll be. I just don't think people want to goggle in. I think it takes us too far away from our humanity, and it might be fun every once in a while.
You
but
don't
the
necessarily have
reality
to
is it's
goggle in to
still-
watch though.
Like,
Do you have to goggle in to
what's the
watch?
point? Why not
I
just play
think that we're already like at a good point where it's like watching VR is because you have like the whole setup to where you can see all the motor functions, right? And you can
Mhm.
see that within that virtual.
It's
Like
still
that's
just-
the really cool thing about Beat Saber is that you watch the person like legs and all, arms and everything with it
yeah, with
coming
the
out of
green
in
screen.
the thing.
Yeah.
Like that's really cool, but it's just not. It's not as cool as watching Overwatch, and I don't know if that's just because it's old, but it's also because it's like Beat Saber is a
It's a flash in the pan. Oh, that's neat. It's DDR. Like DDR is
Yeah,
still
it's-
cool, but is there competitive DDR? Yeah. Same thing with Oklahoma Christian has a scholarship to Saber team.
I think the biggest thing is like, what, why you watch Overwatch because there's so many things that are like you can do that aren't. Right, that's one of the big
you
drawing
do that
things.
But here, anyway, we gotta move on, guys. So the hot take is it easier to? I mean, look, we're down to 4 of you. So you 4 that are hanging out with us, heart. Is it easier for esports athletes compared to traditional athletes? I don't think that's a fair assessment. Is it easier for an Apple or is it easier for an Orange?
Yeah, they both
It's-
have their challenges.
It's just
Yeah.
completely different. It's a lot easier to get a basketball and go shoot hoops on a dirt place with a stick that's put up in the air than it is to get a PC that can run it.
But you'll
True.
always get an Xbox
But
with
you're stuck with Call of Duty. I guess you could do Rocket League.
yeah. I think Call of Duty play Overwatch.
My final take on
Bro,
this
That's
is
how I got into.
Any fight.
is they can be about equal, and I don't think
I think they're just different to even worry about.
I think
Especially
I
right
think the
now.
biggest
Yeah.
issue with traditional sports is exactly what Refresh said. It's harder to be able to play, and you have to be able to understand. Like the barrier of entry is much harder, I think, than most
there's no-
physical sports.
How do you go pro in Overwatch?
Yeah,
How do you go pro in NBA in basketball? It's a lot easier for us to say, and we're all esports people.
Yep.
It's
Mhm.
a lot easier for us to say this is how you go pro in basketball, and we're
Yep.
not basketball people.
Yep.
So that's the answer right there. So
That's,
all right,
that is.
let's wrap this up, guys. Yeah, lots of big turmoil, but honestly, this is all good stuff in esports. Realistically, it's going to allow Silver's going to come out of college with a degree in esports. Tammy's going to come out of college with a degree in esports right at a time when they're going to be able to leverage that and I think grow from the ground up instead of trying to do it from the top up. So that's going to be a good thing. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you've had fun doing esports in college.
Mhm.
A lot of 75% of people don't use their degree when they get out into the workforce. they use their degree in what they've learned, but they're not working in their degreed field. So, you know, even at the end of the day, if esports completely collapses, at the end of the day, multimedia degrees, there's opportunities to use that and move in all kinds of different spaces. But youth esports, high school esports, and college esports is growing and getting stronger.
Yep.
And so that to me allows me to know that there is a future in esports because we're now building that structure. And remember, everything I do with Oath, so for all 5 of you watching, Silver, for Merp, every decision that I make is 100% about that structure and building that structure. You've heard me talk about, we could open it up to Fortnite and have 500 players overnight, but I won't do it because we don't have the structure. And one, I don't think Fortnite is a platform for that type of growth, because it's all about the money that you win at the end. How many people know, oh, you could actually win money? I know that guy that won money in Fortnite. I saw it on the news. Yeah, it's there, but that's not easy, right?
The one dude in the entire planet.
Right. Well, Booga. Yeah, and he's got the gold keyboard at 5. Which, dude got his bag. Dude got his bag, and that's what it's about for me. Like, I don't blame him. But it was the same way. There were kids, there were rollerbladers and skateboarders on the side of Coca-Cola bottles that got their money, and now they're not skating, but they got their money. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's wrap this up. Guys, thanks for tuning in. It's always a lot of fun to do Re-Oath at the end of the week. Next week, I will not be here next week. We haven't fully locked in if it's going to happen.
I don't think we can announce. We may or may not have nothing set in stone.
Well, that's what I was saying. I will not be at Re-Oath next week. I'm having surgery on Thursday, so
neither will I. So
thoughts and all that sort of stuff for me. Please. It's nothing like major scary or anything, but scary to me. So I will be recovering from that. So we're actually going to have Gabe the Guru's hair as the guest speaker. So Gabe will himself not be here, but it will be his giant hair.
I didn't realize it was alive. That's kind of cool.
It's just going to happen. But anyway, so I won't be here. Merp is out because he's got prior obligations. So it depends on what can happen. So tune in next week.
Yep.
Always watch Overwatch on Tuesdays, Valorant on Thursdays, and follow us on Twitter, all the social medias, that sort of things. We can find out more. Silver, you get the last word this week.
Follow our YouTube channel. Not a lot of traction goes through it, but we do in fact have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So for everyone that wants to go back and rewatch the matches, and you don't want to do that through Twitch, I know a big thing for me is that watching like on your phone is a big thing, which kind of
Twitch sucks. Yeah, watching replays on Twitch sucks.
So go to the Oath YouTube channel, and you can see everything there.
I think it's youtube.com/Oath Esports.
Yeah, that sounds about it. So just go find it. It's really easy. Has the Oath Bird. You all know the Oath Bird. Clearly. Well, it's not here. Well, there it is.
The Oath Bird.
Right here. And
Alright.
so find it and get that thing popping. Start making ad revenue.
Pop.
I do.
All right, guys, it's been an hour and 18 minutes. It feels like it's been about 6 hours. Agreed? Maybe
No.
not. I don't
Time
know.
flies when
I'm,
you're having
I'm still
fun,
ready to
Refresh.
keep cooking.
Are you? Well, I could just go to bed. Y'all can keep talking. if you
I
want.
can.
don't-
I think
I'm
it's a
an
good
I-
idea to end it here.
All right.
All right.
Well,
Fair.
guys, this has been fun. Merp. See you next
What's
week.
up?
Yep.
See you next week.